you are quoting a Psalms or you are quoting something from the New Testament, then trust me, you don't reach nowhere. There's so much things to know about Haile Selassie. How you view and how you see and how you recognize yourself. If he is a Ras, not just running out around the place and smoking ganja and talking about Jah Rastafari, that is nothing. That is nothing. Now, only for youth right now, I declare themselves Rasta. But just like the Marcus Garvey situation, I only for them don't really take up no book and study about Haile Selassie. But them just take up the Bible. The Bible is not a history book of Haile Selassie. The Bible don't show you the works and the situation that Haile Selassie find himself in and how maneuver himself out of it. When a man tell you say, Haile Selassie say, and then him quote the Bible, that is some Christian mindset. You need to get the autobiography of Haile Selassie, volume 1 and volume 2, and the selected speeches of Haile Selassie to find out what Haile Selassie say. Because if you cannot quote something that Haile Selassie say, and every time you quote something that you claim Haile Selassie said, you are quoting a Psalms or you are quoting something from the New Testament, then trust me, you don't reach nowhere. There's so much things to know about Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie was born Tafari Makonnen, 1892 on the 23rd of July by a man named Ras Makonnen and Yeshima Bet Ali, his mother. Yeshima Bet Ali, not much is known about her because what happened, she died when he was about 2 years old. But him got through. The name Haile Selassie was given to him at birth. The name Tafari Makonnen was given to him by his parents. But as you know, when you're into a certain orthodoxy church, them give you a name coming from the church. Like when I did born, my mother came to go a Roman Catholic church and give me a Roman Catholic church name, which we don't use it every day for my birth certificate. But Haile Selassie has become a figure to be reckoned with because of the Rastafari movement outside of Ethiopia. When Haile Selassie started to rule Ethiopia, he was about 14-year-old. 14, as Lich Tafari Makonnen. And then he become Rastafari Makonnen. Ras is a title in Ethiopia. Ras, title. Tafari means one to be feared. That is what Tafari means. And in that time, when Menelik defeated the Italian army at the Battle of Adwa, and him start to rule and him start to get sick, him didn't need a person to take over from him. And him designated a woman by the name of Zardeto, translated means Judith. And she ruled as Empress of Ethiopia. Meanwhile, Rastafari was what we call king. Not king of kings, king of Ethiopia. And he was the one who was doing the everyday work in Ethiopia until she died. And when she died, he was crowned Emperor Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, conquering line of Judah, elect of God. This is not Rasta pronouncing these things. This is something of the Ethiopian tradition. Because the Ethiopians actually believe that their emperor is descended from Solomon and a woman by the name of Makeda. Makeda was the queen of Seba out of Yemen when Ethiopia empire stretched even into Yemen. We must know all these things because it can help to strengthen how you view and how you see and how you recognize yourself. If you is a Ras, not just running out around the place and smoking ganja and talking about Jah Rastafari, that is nothing. That is nothing. When Tafari Makonnen go up on the throne, him start using him original name. Haile Selassie, the first. The reason why them say Haile Selassie the first is because he was the first emperor that named Haile Selassie on the throne. It's like how you have Queen Elizabeth II. The reason why she named Queen Elizabeth II is because he didn't have a queen named Queen Elizabeth I. And when we look at the history of Ethiopia, and how Ethiopia fight against colonialism, against Italian invasion, and in 1935 when Haile Selassie went to the League of Nations to plead the cause of his people, when the Italians started second time invaded, him asked the League of Nations, which was now, when they call it United Nations now, what must I go back and tell my defenseless people? You have struck the match in Ethiopia and it shall burn Europe. Haile Selassie. People say, if the world had listened to that little man, World War II might have never begun. In the book, Great Men of Color, by J.A. Rogers, who was a Jamaican, Volume 1, him say, when him recognize and look at Haile Selassie, him say, behold the perfect man. Not me say, go and look, go read J.A. Rogers. So when we say Haile Selassie, it's not something where we just raffle and pick it out our box. It's something that the Rastafari think deeply about, consciously, even though them say we are idiot. Because we don't believe in a spirit God. We believe in a life as we see it. The natural order come from nature, and them can't destroy that. Instead of them destroy nature, nature going to destroy them. Because all this climate, this and environmental this, it's just man try to survive in a climate where him perpetuate and him put into practice. So when you say, why man, the world about to destroy, the earth have a way for just govern up things and put it out back. I'm still there. But man, I don't know how long I'm going to go there. Just like how man say God create man in his own image. Now we say man a create AI in his own image. And just like how man claim, say him a go against the God when create him, maybe the AI when go against him.
A noble family in eastern Ethiopia. But after all was said and done and the dust settled, Tafari Makanen ultimately emerged victorious. His campaign for ultimate power began with him forcing Empress Zaldito to crown him king in October 1928, and following Empress Zaldito's sudden death 2 years later, Tafari was finally crowned the Negusa Negast, meaning the King of Kings of the Ethiopian Empire. And from his coronation onwards, Tafari would now be addressed as His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. But unbeknown to the newly crowned emperor, news of his coronation would quickly see him become the central figure of a new religion birthed on a land far, far away from the boundaries of his kingdom. On a small British colony, where black bodies had long been subject to scorn, ridicule, and subjugation, the news of Selassie's coronation would now be seen by thousands of black Jamaicans as a sign that the day of salvation was at hand. With a Bible in one hand, and in the other, a copy of the iconic June 1931 issue of National Geographic magazine, preachers of a new religion known as Rastafarianism began proclaiming a new gospel. According to them, Selassie's coronation was the fulfillment of a prophecy by the Pan-African activist Marcus Garvey, who famously encouraged his supporters to look to Africa, where a black king shall be crowned, for the day of deliverance is near. Despite facing strong resistance from the British colonial authorities, the new movement quickly began to grow under the leadership of his leading preacher, Leonard Howell. Defying the local authorities, Howell began proclaiming Haile Selassie as God in the flesh and urged his fellow black Jamaican violent invasion by the fascist Italian dictator Benito Mussolini.
Fox Movie Tone brings you the world's news. Lowell Thomas speaking. Rome. In a blazing radio address, Mussolini proclaims his decision, war. Despite the League of Nations, Italy will conquer Ethiopia. Addis Ababa, Haile Selassie protests to the League that the Italians have already invaded Ethiopia. So the Emperor orders complete mobilization. He marshals his hosts of fighting men to defend his frontiers. The Emperor broadcasts an impassioned plea to the outside world to save Ethiopia from Italian conquest. The President of the Ethiopian Parliament speaks, and an American radio man introduces the Emperor especially to America.
Hello, America. This is Addis Ababa.
Qu'il souhaite ardemment et qu'il leur est indispensable.
He defends his country's cause, calls upon the world to stop the war, and declares that Ethiopia is firmly for peace.
De l'an passé, le peuple éthiopien est fermement attaché à la paix, mais il est en même temps
A nation praying for peace but ready to fight to the last. Rome deciding war. The League of Nations preparing to impose penalties. The clash of arms, the thunders of battle seem more terrifying, as at the radio station of Addis Ababa, the Emperor Haile Selassie pleads for peace.
Africa by one European power and was now only being kept alive thanks to the goodwill of another. Selassie's expulsion from Ethiopia would even see him being branded as a coward by his forerunner, Mark. With many African countries pushing to become independent democratic states, the idea that a country as large as Ethiopia could continue as an absolute imperial monarchy was simply unacceptable to many within Ethiopia's emerging intellectual class. The first major political earthquake to hit the emperor's throne would arrive in 1960 when a conspiracy led by one of Selassie's regional governors and the commander of his imperial guard resulted in an attempt to overthrow Selassie and convert Ethiopia into a constitutional monarchy led by the crown prince. Although the generally poor state of the economy and the desire for democracy amongst Ethiopia's educated classes meant that there was some level of popular support for the coup, the overthrow was ultimately unsuccessful thanks to some swift actions taken by Selassie loyalists. Despite its failure, the 1960 coup would frighten even Selassie's strongest supporters, and some of those who were brave enough to face him began calling for Selassie to consider democratic reforms. But whether by willful ignorance or genuine imperception, the emperor proved unable to see the writing on the wall, as his immediate response was to simply punish the coup plotters and move to consolidate his personal power even further. Adding fuel to the fire, the emperor soon made more domestic enemies when he entered into a violent conflict with Eritrean freedom fighters from across his northern border. This long-standing dispute began when nationalists from the land of Eritrea, which had been federated to Ethiopia by the United Nations back in 1952, began violently agitating for their independence from Ethiopia. In response to Eritrea's demand for independence, the emperor swiftly dissolved the UN-created Federation of Ethiopia and Eritrea and annexed Eritrea as part of Ethiopia. The irony and hypocrisy of an anti-imperialist icon forcefully annexing a smaller country may have been completely ignored by Selassie's global audience, but the violent 29-year armed struggle that followed would forever taint Selassie's image in the eyes of millions of his subjects.
Christ promised that he will return within 2,000 years, and him said when him come, he will be the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the conquering Lion of Judah, through the lineage of King Solomon and King David. Now, my life have great meaning to me, so I really search to find out if God is here. When I search, I look in at Ethiopia, I look all about, looking at Germany, because I'm not prejudiced. I look for God. I'm looking at Ethiopia, I see one man stand up with these names, Emperor Haile Selassie, name King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of Judah, through the lineage of King Solomon and King David, written in the Bible. One of my things is that the Bible, them say that King James edit the Bible. Now, my understanding is that King James edited the Bible, I don't think he will edit it for the benefit of black people. So when the revelation turned out that Haile Selassie is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, coming straight through the lineage of King Solomon and King David, then we really know that this is a Christ return. Because we know in this world, when the white man edit it, he wouldn't edit it in our behalf. He would have more edited to make it look like England going to be the big thing. But in the last days, they'll prove out that is Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, and Haile Selassie name is Rasta. So we are called Rastas, called by his name. And then it's a lot of things. We go as far as saying, him say when him return and you call upon him. Now this is God. Him say when him return and you call upon him.
The wall of famine and its image in the media severely undermined Selassie's government's popular support, and the reverence and personal prestige of the emperor was irredeemably devastated. Revolutions and uprisings before it, the Ethiopian Revolution would ultimately ravage its own children. The political instability and infighting that followed the emperor's overthrow would see over 1 million Ethiopians lose their lives, and an even larger number either displaced or plunged into absolute poverty. And so perhaps when future generations judge Selassie's 60-year reign as regent and emperor, they just might conclude that his services to his country carried more weight than the many great mistakes which he undoubtedly made.
We want to tackle a subject where I don't know how it reached the level where it reached, especially amongst the Rastafari community. But it's something, when we just start Rasta, I hear Rasta talk about Zion. You have some little song where them sing, "I want to go to Zion," or "You can't go to Zion with no carnal mind." And Zion is a holy place, no sin can enter there. Now, I have the opportunity to go to Zion in Jerusalem, the city of the great king, which was King David, according to how them write it. When it say, the Bible say, Zion, it talk about a city in Jerusalem, or upon the outskirts of Jerusalem. It's a mountain top. Not very tall mountain, because today you can find tourists venture up there. I remember them show me one place and them said this is where David's tomb is. I don't know what the hell them talking about, but me and Tony Rebel have the opportunity to go in there. I said, wow, David buried inside that, so I joke business still, because for me check it. Anyway, Rasta talk about Zion over the years, and him then shift from Jerusalem Zion to Ethiopia Zion. So most Rasta when them talk about Zion, them really are talk about Ethiopia as Zion. And the reason being is that we tend to have a Judeo-Christian mindset as it relates to Rastafari. And it's very difficult for Rastas to come out of that Judeo-Christian mindset, especially when him associate and validate most of him thinking with Judeo-Christianity. Now, I've recently can't remember one long time a whole heap of elder Rasta that them can't dead. Them not dead, and if you're dead, I show you're wicked. And yeah, them used to say that. For those of you who don't know that, them used to say, if you're wicked, if you're dead, I show you're wicked. And them not say that. Yet still, since we hear that, I a Rasta nearly 50 years now, over 50 years now, I see a whole heap of ones who used to say dead. And even Peter Tosh should have said him can't dead. I remember Peter Tosh said him can't dead till his wife started believe that she can't dead neither. And now we say, him gone. No, why me I bring up that? Rasta must stop talking about when a Rasta dead him gone to Zion. It's foolishness. And it's the only way you say that is because you think in the heaven perspective where you start to claim say, instead of you say heaven, you say Zion. So you're a Rasta, you say Zion. Christians say heaven. You say, well, him gone to a better place. Oh, you know, say it's a better place. When a Rasta say, a Rasta dead and him gone to Zion. How come all of a sudden it's pure dead Rasta in a Zion? When I never did see it that way there. I never did hear Rasta talk about it that way there. But recently I hear Rastas dead and I say, boy, I give thanks, him gone as Zion, a better place. A madness. We get caught in the same Judeo-Christian mindset that we did move away from. We are move away from it. And we come get caught in it now. We need to really evaluate these interpretations that we have and how Judeo-Christianity has played a part in pacifying our thinking, pacifying consciousness, and pacifying our awareness. There is no better place in Zion. Zion right now, the physical manifestation, is a tourist attraction. And if you talk about Zion now as a heavenly place, then you have to go really resort back to Bible and Christianity, and it's that we did say we are born out for a long time, Roman this and Roman that and all them things there. It's really a weird situation. I'm find more and more and more now when Rasta dead, Rasta man I say, them gone to Zion. Well, you know, them gone to a better place, them gone to Zion. That is what old people who are Christian used to say, not Rasta. Rasta never say Zion as a place of dead Rastas or Ethiopia. When man say more repatriate to Zion, it means more repatriate to Ethiopia. So by the time say more go Ethiopia and that about him go Zion, because that show how deep him in that Judeo-Christian mindset that him can't say nothing outside of that. So him start to associate all of the things them that is real with the unreality of the things them that him believe. And it's really a belief system that caught a whole heap of Rasta over the years. Whole heap of belief system. You know, man say him can't dead, and as a matter of fact, him quote some things in the Bible. Quote some things in the Bible where I show you say, it's only the wicked dead, but I and I live forever. But when him say live forever, you know, him not talk about a spiritual awakening, a spiritual manifestation. Him talk about physical. Whole heap of Rasta believe that and still believe it. Still believe it. Say him can't dead. After him dead in the earth and see so much things are going around him. After him in the earth and see all this pollution and these wickedness and man terrible things against man. Him sit down in the earth and say, all that are going to pass over him. No, sir. No, sir. This is ridiculous. We must stop saying it because it come like we turn wayward. Come like we turn wayward now. We must stop saying it. There is no dead place for Rastas named Zion. And if I go talk about dead place with Rastas in Zion, I better we just talk about heaven and done. Because not that we did that see in the beginning. You know, and if we start talk about heaven now, I better we just talk about Jesus. And we could talk about all of the things them that we say we are moved from. And start find this new cultural expression, this new revolutionary expression in the Rastafari. Give thanks.